Hey, welcome to another episode of Muscle Matters. I'm joined tonight by Ed Martinez and Evan Sneidman. Tonight's episode is going to be dumb things that we see people do in the gym, and between the three of us, y'all is dumb. Be right back. All right, so tonight I'm joined by Evan Sneidman and Ed Martinez. I don't know. We might have to. They're going to be with me for the foreseeable future, so might have to rename this show the Three Meathead Amigos, and we can all wear sombreros. I mean,
really?
I'll wear
yarmulke.
Yes, you're going to wear a yarmulke.
We get a yarmulke.
Two amigos and a Jew. Is that PC?
Yes,
Can I say that? I wasn't
Absolutely.
sure. So tonight's episode, we're going to have a little fun with it. This is going to be based on dumb things we've seen people do in the gym, and trust me, it's a lot of dumb movement that you guys actually think work. And then we'll keep this episode comical, and then we'll start getting more scientific. Scientifical. Oh my.
That's
Yes.
a big word.
Wow. Yes,
I like the big words.
It's a long day.
Yes.
That's how you know it's a long day.
Yeah, Mongo pick up rock.
Yeah.
So we'll get a little more knowledgeable going in the future. But tonight we want to have fun. I guess we could start with shoulder movements. I think one of the dumbest things I see people do is they take the Arnold press and they make it a two-part movement. I mean, have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Could you explain to people why that is wrong?
Because it's wrong. I don't. It's supposed to be a continuous movement.
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
Just supposed to be fluent. That's it.
All
one movement.
Yeah, there's no reason to hey,
One, two, three.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm coming here and I'm going to try to squeeze my chest. And it's
Makes no
just
sense.
one great movement. Evan, you and I were talking in the gym the other day, and we were talking about that silly one that people get on the side of the machine and they kind of shove sideways, trying to work on the center of
Like
their
the pec deck, like on a pec deck or on one of the chest piece machines.
Yeah, where they try to
Press
do
sideways.
trying to get the
Just
center
one
of
arm.
their flat chest to grow.
Yeah. You gotta love the unilateral movements
Yeah.
where they have no muscle to build, but they'll do they'll do partial movement range of motions and everything like that.
Right.
That's a great one because they have all the muscle to build off the muscle they don't have.
We were talking about, and I said, if you're going to try to do a movement that's going to build the center of your chest, you should be able to sit a soda can on your chest, like literally pop it up and have a soda can sit on there. Then you can,
And then you can work on the detail.
Then you can,
Yeah.
then those little fingers look really cool when
Right.
they don't look like ribs anymore. So tell me some things you guys have seen that have just made you just shaking your head. Not the other day where somebody actually took the seats off the gym equipment.
This is, and everybody that knows me, this is a big pet peeve of mine, especially learning to train properly. The band on the hack squat.
But what do you mean? I can do more reps.
Right, exactly. And you're using something called accommodating resistance the wrong way.
Oh.
You're trying to stimulate growth by destroying the muscle fibers. You're making the movement easier. And I've heard every single argument, well, it's better for my knees. You know what's the best for your knees? Proper
Squatting.
form.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if it's the hack squat, the squat, proper form and proper tempo.
Now, I'm going to hijack it real quick, and we're going to get a little more knowledgeable because I like where you're going with this, Ed. We're going to go from comical to knowledgeable real quick. Now, one of the things that I see people come in and they immediately start doing legs, and the first thing they do is they put on knee wraps like out the gate. Like they haven't done anything, and it's time to go squat, and they have knee wraps on. Explain why you kind of want to save that for something special.
Your body, the muscle actually has to do the work for you.
Yes.
You mean? So you don't have assistance right off the gate.
Yes.
In every which way.
Yes.
That's kind of the ordeal. We're looking to actually have to strain a bit before we actually have to put knee wraps on.
And putting on knee wraps, you actually want to build up tendon strength, and the wraps are going to take away from the tendons doing a lot of work.
Correct.
So, wait a while. Don't put it on right away. Wait a minute. Let it warm. Save the knee wraps for, grinders?
Competition. If you're training for
Competition,
competition, there's a legitimate use for knee wraps. Everyday muscle building training, it's not for that. You have to learn to, have proper stimulation for the muscles. If you're always squatting from the beginning, from warm-ups with your knee wraps, you're never going to develop any leg strength.
And people will argue that they wear their knee wraps because they want to protect their knees. When it's doing the total opposite.
Wear knee sleeves.
Yeah.
Knee sleeves keep your knees warm, promote circulation. Okay, wear knee sleeves. And then when you are getting ready to get anywhere from 85 to anything above of your your 1 rep max, then that's when you put the knee sleeves on, the
Yeah.
knee reps on.
Yes.
Or if you're somewhat of a seasoned bodybuilder and you've worked your way up
Exactly,
with
you're-
your squat, you want to get volume at that higher end percentage,
goes-
right? So I'm going to do that so I can actually rep this weight out and get
If
some
you are properly-
huge big stimulus for the actual muscle grouping.
So I've already worked out. I've already got a good. I'm dying. I mean that, and I think that's where a lot of people get confused. They see these pros, and we'll go back to the band thing, Ed. They see these pros, and they see these pros put the bands on the hack squat, but it's generally because they're doing they're going failure. They've already did the majority of their workout. They're coming over, and now they're trying to grind out on something that they would only be able to get 6 on. They're actually looking for 15, and it's towards the end of the workout. And most of these guys are they're not looking for a 2 or 3 rep special lift. They're looking for the complete devastation of their muscle.
Right.
Correct, and that's what I like to call getting your paycheck.
Yeah.
That's where you get your paycheck at the end of the workout, when you have barely anything left in the tank and you know you have that last set of 15 where you have to wrap up for it and it's 5+100 pounds and you have nothing left to do but do that. 100%.
Dorian Yates was the king of the assistant rep. And if you look at Dorian lifted balls to the wall, and he lifted very heavy, and he was the king of the assistant rep. So a lot of people fail to understand the assistant rep. What do they call that? Where you've hit failure, now I'm helping you up, but we're still going. I know there's some sort of word out there. Yeah, there's a word out there.
You're
where
basically pushing past failure, and now you're
Yes.
getting assisted in either the negative portion of the rep, where, for example, when you're doing a preacher curl,
Yes.
you're always going to be weaker in this part,
Yes.
the concentric or whatever the rep.
Force reps.
Yes, force reps. Yes,
so they're
that's the
helping
word.
you out to get extra
Yeah.
reps.
Yeah, those are
in
force
one-
reps.
in one part of the movement. But the problem I see is, unfortunately, in as much as I hate to say with social media, there's a lot of disinformation there.
Yes.
And you get the kid that is just not starting, instead of learning to start with progressive overload, start getting stronger in that fashion.
Explain progressive overload.
It's just literally, you go in, you start adding a little bit of weight, and a little bit of weight more, and a little bit of weight more, and that's how you progress. You're progressing in your loads that you can handle. But there has to be a weekly progression. You're not going to come in one day and squat 3 plates, and then 2 weeks later squat 4 plates because you just want to. It's like, that's just cheating the game. You have to learn to progressive overload your muscles, and there has to be a progression, and it takes years.
So I shouldn't change my workout every week?
That's my favorite. Not if you're a beginner.
Yeah.
Now,
Triggered.
now there's and even as you're a little more advanced, there's even an argument to have to be made that you want to do it because you don't want to be bored. But after this point,
Yeah.
you've at least gone 10, 15 years with the same program, and you need some variety.
Well, you look at a guy like we'll go to Kai Green. Kai Green and those the Jefferson squats.
Oh gosh.
The Jefferson squat. And you look at a guy like Kai Green. Kai Green's what, 290 pounds
Yeah.
with abs. He's not looking to do compound movements anymore.
And he's not a power lifter, so he's not looking to squat a bunch of weight. He's looking for different ways to get stimulus that he knows he can already get from the squat or the leg presser. He's kind of run through all of them.
So for somebody like him doing stiff leg deadlift, there's probably no more benefits in it, especially generally when he's doing the Jefferson squats, he's in shape. So that means he's closer to Olympia competition.
Not as strong.
So
Not as strong as when
dehydrated muscle and the fear, dehydrated muscle will tear.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
I mean, we all look at Ronnie Coleman and that the great 800-pound squat, but he had a suit on.
He had a squat suit on.
He had a squat suit on.
Which I no way belittles that achievement.
No, not in the least bit.
If
No,
you
especially how those suits, when he had that suit
Yeah.
on, and what the suit was then compared to what they are
Yeah,
now.
no, it's not to
favorite
knock
part-
away from him, but he was protecting himself. He wasn't dumb.
And he bottomed that out too. He didn't
Yeah.
just hit where he needed to hit. He bottomed it out.
Yes,
And just,
and it was a broke. You could tell that suit was just there to make sure that he didn't hurt himself because he was 8 weeks out, and that's
Just
about
kept
the
some
time
things in
things are
place.
dehydrating.
Yep.
And that's my favorite part. People arguing that point, which we are, but he's wearing a squat suit. He was still putting 800 pounds of weight in his back. I challenge any normal gym goer to just go put 400 pounds.
And we'll give you a
squat
suit.
it and
We'll give you the
squat.
suit. We'll give you the single ply suit. Throw it on.
And,
Go
and
ahead.
put it on social media and watch.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
It's still, but again, people see that in these oddities or these little small things that these pros put on. They don't realize that when Kyrie posted that squat with that odd, grabbing at it almost looks like a deadlift to me.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
The Jefferson squat.
Jefferson squat. He posted it. He probably was at the end of his training session.
And it was the camera angle makes his hamstrings look really, really good.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
it's the end of the training session, and he's just playing around.
Yes.
For them, that's playing around. For him,
It's more of a it's easier to cut a tree down to a sculpture
Yeah.
than take a stick to a sculpture.
Exactly.
So he's whittling down a large tree. So when he goes to do fine-tuned movements, the man's hamstrings are out of this world.
Yeah, well, the kids today don't realize that he's had to amass all this muscle, and now he has to find new, like you said, stimuluses to hit different portions of whatever muscle grouping he's going after, right? So he needs to think outside the box, and he has to go to different ways. And take all the top guys.
Yes.
They're doing meat and potatoes, don't get me wrong, but they're still doing different little things here and there that are separating them from the pack because they're stimulating that muscle that much more with this different kind of movement that you wouldn't think would hit where it needs to hit.
Like Jay Cutler, always hear people say, Jay Cutler doesn't bench press. And I'm like, I literally stole a workout from Jay Cutler. He did bench press. He doesn't bench press anymore. The risk to reward's not there.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, dumbbells are a lot safer than a locked-in barbell. So we're going to go back to being funny. I mean, we got real good there for you guys.
One last thing.
Okay.
And without sounding like the old grumpy guy at the gym, like we do, and that's fine. We've kind of earned it. Okay. That having said all that, proper training methodology, eating right, and all that good stuff, and you see these guys in the magazines, you want to do that. You have to understand those guys that you see on the magazine, that Kai Green, the Jay Cutler, they do all of that, and they're also 1% genetically gifted.
Yeah, I know. We'll come back to the people don't understand. Those guys can go climb a tree and be buff.
Exactly. And that's
That's my
the
other
difference.
favorite thing.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
We can discuss all that stuff.
Yeah. So my other favorite thing is I social media. You go on social media and you'll see every zip tied up the butt wearing girl doing some goofy butt workout. And all these young ladies think that's how they developed it. And I'm not going to talk about how 75% of them have butt jobs and they put what's that word I'm looking for?
Synthol.
Yeah, that word in their butts, just like the guys put it in their arms. And you'll see them doing all these things, but then what they really did is they were just squatting. I mean, the ones, I think my favorite one is that you'll see the girl with the bands around her knees and she's down on her knees with the squat on the bar and
Right.
swearing it's a glute burn.
It's comical. Go.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
No,
agree.
go ahead. I know you got a rant on the hip thrust.
No, give me.
Come on, Ken. I want to hear your rant on the hip
what you're
No, I
thrust.
just don't. There's so many other.
I don't think the hip thrust is awful. I think
No, but
when you utilize.
it's a difference between a hip thrust and then actually doing it for your glutes.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
That's where I was going.
Just
Agreed.
honestly, squat deep, deadlift, sumo, or otherwise.
Yeah, people. I think the deadlift's underutilized
Stiff leg deadlifts.
for
Yes.
glute work. 100%. If you come to a full lockout,
My-
full lockout. That's going to hit your shelf on the backside.
And my favorite is every young bodybuilder thinks that deadlifts are for your back and have nothing to do with your back. Your back's the stabilizer muscle if you want to look at it that way, but the driving force is your legs. It's your legs. Your upper body is just a hinge that's holding the weight. The work is done with your legs.
Now, abs. It's my other favorite thing they'll watch people do, and they flail around and doing a lot of things. It's the simplest movement. Up, contract, and down.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the 20 exercises in one session.
20 exercises in one section?
Cardio and abs routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me all about that one.
That's the best. You got the crunches where they're pulling their neck so it can reach your crotch when they come up and they just bend like a pretzel.
Okay.
That's a good one.
All right.
Really,
So,
that's a favorite of mine to see.
oh, you mean where they have more? They've got a ton of weight on on the rope and they're pulling over and they're looking like a dog going poop, but they swear it's hitting their abs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, leg raises out of the Roman chair.
Uh-huh.
When they just throw them so they can do
Throw 'em
touch-
up instead of
toes touch your
control.
forehead and then come down and swing.
Instead of
back and
controlling the
forth.
movement.
Now we make fun of this because one of the easiest ways to do it is when you're doing ab workouts, your hip flexor's stronger than your ab.
Right?
We use our hip flexor since we were a kid for running and all these other things. So we're gonna have stronger hip flexors. So what ends up happening is when you do these goofy movements and you're using above heavy weight and you do not have a huge amount of core strength, you're actually using your hip flexor more than your ab. The ab is just a real simple, target. There's ways to target it. Tell me some other goofy things you guys have seen. We're trying to keep this one funny. They're getting preached at, and we want to keep this funny.
Upper back row, utilizing a lat pull down machine. When you kind of step off and you put your foot down and you're pulling out like this. I'm like, but literally, if you look right across the way, cable road's right there. We
Right.
could-
Well, the thing is, we can go back to like you see the guy that's doing the pull down, but when he's doing the pull down, he's touching his head on the ground behind him, which is just simply once again a row. Like it. I watched this video the other day with
Really
Arnold.
but he can get the stack.
And he's really doing more lower.
But he can do the whole stack.
And he's really
Yes.
doing more lower
And that's
back
all
work
that
than anything.
matters.
Yes.
That's all that matters.
And that swing to the back, the momentum's just getting away.
And that's my favorite. They're doing more lower back work, but they're afraid of deadlifts.
Kids are gonna hurt their back. I got a bad back.
I had about because you pull down like that.
Arnold said it best. I was watching this video the other day, and he said that pull downs, pull ups are for width, rows are for thickness. So if you're going for width and you're touching your head on the ground and you're pulling it straight down to your nipple, that's a row. You have now just doing a high row.
Right.
So the exercise Evan was talking about, you're just now doing
You roll.
a row, and you don't need to take the seats off of the pull down machine to do it. I'm never gonna. We're gonna come back. We're
gonna keep coming back to
We're
that
gonna come
every
back
time.
to the dumb things that people have done to a gym later on. We'll go back to shoulders. Flies. I see people do flies, and it looks like they're like a dying bird trying to.
Like they're trying to take flight. Like they're trying to take flight.
It's like, like the elbows, wrists are here, elbows there. It's just like, no, you guys flunk geometry. Like, if you have a break point, you're taking the stress away from the actual muscle.
I think confusing different exercises for your different days.
Yes.
So many people like to do pullovers on their chest day because they want to hit chest, apparently.
What it was is they used to do it in 1960.
Right.
And the guys in 1960, they had nothing else to do but sit on the beach and train all day long.
Yeah.
And they swear that it was the thing that popped their chest up. But what they were actually doing is they were getting that dumbbell and they were popping their sternum. And just like when you hang, the old schools used to say you hang from the
Dead hangs.
and it pulls out your scapula so you have a wider back. It's just stretching your sternum. And what they were doing, they were also, when they'd go back, they'd practice their vacuum.
Right.
So they could suck it up in there, and then it made the chest look bigger. Dorian is the one who put the pullover in its proper place. Like, it's a back movement.
Back movement.
And speaking of pullover, back. That is my pet peeve when I watch people train back, and I'm like, you're doing a curl, like a heavy curl, not a back movement.
Right.
Explain how a proper back movement should look. I don't want to always be the one to, like, where does the elbow go and where does the hand go?
Try to get closer to your body as possible. Not
Elbows to floor.
depending on the angle or what. So pull downs or
Yes.
Again,
Let's go.
If you're doing rows.
Let's go with a row.
if you're doing rows, obviously close to your body. Keep the elbow close to your body. You keep the hand as close to your hip as possible. Some people are a little more flexible and they can bring it a little higher. But if you want to feel the whole lat, up here.
Now, one of the things I see people do that's comical to me is they'll get the row and they'll get right about mid-range and then they curl it
Yeah, I don't
to the
understand that.
and it's like you're doing you're just wearing your bicep out. You're going to pop a tendon. You're not actually
And
doing
at
row.
that point, you turn it into a shrug.
Yes.
Because you're here and you're lifting it. If you're so jammed up here, all you're doing is contracting your lat. You're not contracting your trap, not your lat.
Yes.
I like when they grab the end of the incline bench and then they come all the way down, full range of motion, and then they swing up and over arch back too. So they do a hyperextension. It's a 2-for-1. It's a good exercise.
They're doing good mornings. And
Yeah. So we got a hyperextension, over exaggerated row. That's not even hitting where you're trying to hit.
Right.
Because now we've also twisted. We're also twisting our body mid range, mid motion, and everything coming up. It's great. That's another favorite.
So, you know, we're trying to keep this one a little more light-hearted and a little more fun. We will get more knowledgeable as we go along, and you guys are hearing. I just want you guys to understand these gentlemen are very knowledgeable. We will be doing more future episodes on knowledge. And what else do you guys like? Tell me something you've seen, you've had to walk past and just don't even ask the question. Like you've seen somebody doing something, you look over and you're like, nope, I don't even want to know.
Well, number one, it's kind of hard now because even with the best of intentions, you walk over and say something or ask if they need help or, I don't know, ask what the purpose of the movement is. Everybody is a social media guru now.
Yes.
So you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm sorry, the microphone's ready. You don't know what you're talking about. So it's a little harder to walk, but yes, I see plenty of things. Again, my favorite one is, and it will always be, the band on the hack squad. And again, you're doing it, it's more ego-based because heavier weight doesn't always mean better stimulation or better movement or a better result. And that's how they're doing it. It's stroking their ego because they're actually doing, it's an assisted lift. You might as well have somebody on the sides when you get to the bottom push it up because you're taking away all that. And yes, you guess what? You're getting weaker knees because you're not going through the full range of motion with an honest weight.
And let's just go, like most people, they want the teardrop. They want that drop over. You know, one of the things that people want, when I used to have decent legs, and I know you hear it, Ed, you've got giant legs, Evan, and Evan's got a teardrop. People always ask you, how do you get it to go over the knee? It's at the bottom of the movement. Mm-hmm. It is at the bottom of the movement. So when you're wrapping up and you're cheating yourself out of the bottom of movement, you're cheating yourself out of that big teardrop. When you see guys with that great big drop over, that's because they're at the bottom of the movement. Right. I was watching that kid. Man, I love that kid. He's just a freak. The Neckzilla kid. Mm-hmm. He was on the hack squat and he was murdering it. Those things are just giant. And that thing just kept dropping over. Tom Platz, he was the king of the sissy squats. I see so many people doing that movement wrong.
Yeah, it's just
no one wants to feel that kind of burn. That's what it comes down to. They probably felt it. Yeah, it burns. They don't want to have to go through that. And you do body weight. You can end your workout with that.
Too many young kids and too many just beginner trainees go and they can't. Trust me, because not talking because we're so holier than thou. When we were younger, we had the same mentality. We're young and dumb, and we're coming in and just trying to be as much weight as I can.
It was experimenting though, because you can only hear so much. Social media wasn't big. What was it? So
yeah.
I mean, even for me, it didn't come around till I was 28.
Yeah.
Over 10 years ago now, and everything like that, and it just started hitting as far as like Instagram and everything like that. So
well, and not to harp on social media, but people have to, social media has its point, and there's some good things and a bad thing. But what most people don't understand is those guys that are doing that on social media, they're doing it for views, not for building. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things they're doing it for views. Charles Glass, I think Charles Glass is one of the most premier trainers, but sometimes I'll go on his social media and I see him do a movement. And I'm like, what the French toast is that? Right. I know you don't have Flex Wheeler and Sean Ray and those guys doing that movement. No. I know that.
But he has to keep.
Because you're about to get booted and you have him do that. You're like, what?
But he has to keep the
average, the content.
Social media is a short attention span prototype. You can't. It's like quick. So you have to learn to catch somebody's eye. Now we know because we've been there and we've seen him, and I've been lucky to have been around when he's training. The knowledge that he has is more than that.
Yes.
But
he knows in order to get his payday, he's got to go and put something goofy on it.
He's conforming to the medium that he's promoting.
Yeah, and I use the word goofy because, like I said, Charles is extremely smart. The goofy movement he's still doing is still working no matter what. But it's a goofy movement just so people will stop, look at it, and they'll go try it at the gym.
Right.
But most of the time, he's just social content. He's trying to get streaming service.
Right.
We're fast coming up on the end. You guys tell me some. I mean, you guys have had to seen something in the gym that made you just go, "Oh my god!" Just let it go. You don't have to say who the person was. You just like let it go.
When someone's deadlifting, they turn into that fishing pole completely all the way up. It looks like a Goggins deadlift. You know how they are where you're supposed to be bent. You're bent on purpose, but it's a tempo movement to come down and you start over bent. But they're really trying to pull a regular deadlift.
Right. Well, I know as a strength coach and a powerlifting coach, you probably drives you up the wall. I think my favorite one, talking about back movements and horrible form, is when people do a back movement but they want to look in the mirror. Like the spine is already going the wrong direction, and then you want to turn the spine and look in the mirror, and it's like, man, Vice is going to make some money off you.
I think my favorite one is a little bit more sport specific because it's towards powerlifting, and I'm going to preface this by saying that it's the conjugate. Like everybody wants to be like, what is the place where they're
West Side Barbell.
like West Side Barbell.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to do the conjugate like West Side Barbell, which it's its own thing, but it's the conjugate method that they do at West Side Barbell. And you see these people, and they are uninformed. It's the best way I can say it. And you'll see them with the apply accommodating resistance, and they'll have chains. But when they stand up, the chains are this far off the ground. That defeats completely the purpose of accommodating resistance.
Or
It
they
should
got
be
limp bands
Right.
connected.
Or limp bands where they stand up.
There's no
exactly.
There's
And
no
it's-
band tension.
and it's God bless your soul, because they're trying something, and we all have mistakes, but it's like, but then when you go try to help, and I don't know, that's how my coach taught me. It's like, well, then your coach needs some help too. It's my my favorite, and it's like, and it's hard because you try to go help people with a good intention, and
I'm kidding. How many times I've walked up to somebody and said, hey, let me help you out with that, and they, I've heard somebody smarter than me taught me that.
yeah. Okay, well,
All
you're not
right.
that much smarter than you, but
Yeah. 8 crayons this morning. All right. So we're gonna cut it out. We keep these. It's about 30 minutes. We're gonna go for it. Coming next week, we'll talk about different things. I'm gonna dig into their information, into their brain. They're very, very smart, very, very special in the powerlifting world.
special is right.
Yes, I said it politically.
In the worst possible sense.
I only eat the light colored crayons.
So maybe next week's episode,
Lead-based paint for me.
if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment. Leave some things right there. Maybe next week we could talk about accessory movements.
Okay.
Because so many people want to. I see it all the time. They just don't do accessory movements. I see it all the time in the gym. People come in and they do the big three over and over and over and over, and I see them and they just don't seem to do the accessory movement. So maybe next week's episode we'll talk about it. Give you some time as you guys think about it and write things down. Next week's episode will be more about the accessories and why they're necessary and why why you don't always want to do the big three every time you come to the gym.
Right.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Muscle Matters. Ed Martinez, Evan Sneidman. We'll see you guys next week.